Welcome to the Ox Sports Podcast. Thank you for joining me tonight. I just quickly wanted to come on here and give a couple reasons why I think Michigan or either Texas can win the game tomorrow at noon in the Big House. Let's start with Texas. Texas lost their top 5 receivers from last year. That is a lot of production that's gone. But the guys they got this year picking up the slack pretty well. Only one game, but they did pretty good. A lot of speed on that outside. A lot of speed. What really hurt Texas is the running game. They lost the first 2 running backs. They lost their starter due to injury, and then they lost their backup. And I think when a team becomes one-dimensional, especially early in the season, it can cripple them, especially if you're in talks for being a national championship contender, which Texas is. Texas, even though they went into Alabama and won last year, I think they're gonna run into a different animal in the Big House. A lot of people know about Will Johnson. A lot of people know about Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. And if you don't know about the edges, Moore and Stewart, you will. They're very good edges. But the linebackers, Michigan has a couple good linebackers that Texas needs to worry about. I don't think Texas is going to be able to run the ball well enough to keep Michigan off Quinn Ewers. Actually, I think both teams will eventually become one-dimensional. And even if Texas did have the starting running back with those 2 big guys in the middle, I don't think there's another team in college football with that front of 4 that Michigan has. Even though Texas has one of the best offensive lines this year, that front 4, those guys are monsters. All 4 will be playing on Sunday. You can't really say that about a lot of teams in college football. All 4. And I'm going to tell you, Hausman and Jayshon Barnum for Michigan, the linebackers, they will be there too. I am telling you, this is a defensive front that is not going to allow Texas to run the ball anyway. And definitely, you're not going to be able to run it with your starter and backup out. So now that makes Texas one-dimensional. So basically, can Quinn Ewers make Michigan pay? Because Michigan is going to run some zero. They're going to run zero. Their defensive coordinator, he came from the NFL. He likes to run. As a matter of fact, not only does he like to run zero blitz, he was the top blitzer last year coming from the NFL. So basically, Quinn Ewers, is he going to be able to make the right decision with that pressure? Because he didn't face any pressure last week against Colorado State. You know what? Colorado State pressured him twice. And you know what happened in those 2 pressures? One was a sack. Another was an interception. The only 2 times Quinn Ewers was pressured, he turned the ball over. So that's one thing. Michigan, the outing that you had against Fresno State last week was not good. I can honestly say that was maybe a C-, maybe a C+. You can't get no higher than that. You didn't have 175 yards. I don't think you had 150. You were under 150 yards, total yards passing. And I don't even think you reached 150 yards rushing. Khalil Mullings led Michigan in rushing. He had over 90 yards. Donovan Edwards, he didn't even have 30. You're going to have to run the ball against Texas to win the game, flat out. Texas can be one-dimensional and make enough plays in the passing game to score 17. That can win you that game, especially if Michigan can't run the ball. It's going to be a long day, because what I saw from Davis Warren didn't make me confident enough to think he can make a difference in the passing game. What I think he can do is he can make enough plays if the running game is going the way it should go. I think he can do that. But Donovan Edwards got to show up. And you know what? Let me say this about Donovan Edwards. It's true. He does not show up every game. He doesn't show up every other game. It seems like in the big games, when he's needed most, that's when he shows up. Well, this is a big game. I think part of the problem is the revamped offensive line that Michigan has. They lost their top 6 linemen last year. All of them left. So when you're bringing in people from the transfer portal and you are replacing the starters last year from the number 2 guys, there needs to be some time to gel. And I'm not just talking about spring ball. I'm not talking about summer ball. You actually have to have some time to develop a cohesiveness, to work as one. And Michigan has not had that. Granted, Fresno State is a better team than Colorado State. Fresno State has had 9 and 10 wins the past 3 years. But Fresno State should not be able to come into the big house and face the defending national champs in a night game and stay within 6 points halfway through the fourth quarter. I know there's a lot of turnover, but Donovan Edwards is a big time back. I mean, he was on the cover of college football video game. Colston Loveland is probably the best tight end in America. Michigan has some guys. They're going to have to play. You got to run the ball. For you to win, you've got to play keep away against Texas. You've got to have those 10, 11, 12, 13 play drives. And you got to score. Field goals ain't going to help you win this game. You need 6. You got to put the ball in. And Texas, if I were you, I would load up that box. You got to make Davis Warren beat you. If he does, hey, game is over. Shake his hand. Well deserved. But he's going to have to. I got 6 and 7 in the box all day. All day. And the only way Michigan, you can combat that, but you got to play Alex Orji. And what's hard about that is everybody knows when Alex comes into the game, he's not throwing the ball. Okay? So now you can bring the safety down. Now you got 8 in the box. But when you bring Alex in and you let him run a couple sweeps right or left, maybe some RPOs, you get another blocker from Michigan in the box. whether that be the running back or you bring in a tight end, maybe that's Khalil Mullings. You get another blocker in the box. You cannot go 3 and out, especially consecutive possessions against Texas. Michigan's defense will keep them in the game. They definitely will keep them in the game. Quinn is going to make some mistakes. This is going to be a big game for Quinn because Wink Martindale, Michigan's defensive coordinator, NFL guy. He's bringing NFL schemes. It's the same scheme Michigan has run with the last 2 defensive coordinators. They learned from Wink at Baltimore. So with all the scouts at this game, they're going to get a chance to see how Quinn reacts to an NFL defense. Can he make the right reads? Can he stand in the box? Can he feel that pressure? Because he's going to get pressured. And like I said, pressured 2 times last week, sack, interception. And it will be an even longer day for Texas if Michigan, with that dominating front 4, if that offensive line from Texas can hold up and Michigan can get to Quinn with 4, it's a long day for Texas. It's a long day. It's going to be a long day. If Michigan does not have to blitz and they can drop 6 into coverage, 7 into coverage, long day. Long day. So, keys for Texas, and I kind of didn't stay in order. I kind of, hit some key points and just started talking. But the key points for Texas: make Michigan one-dimensional. Load up the box, Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullings, Alex Orji. You're not running the ball. You're not. We can go one-on-one on the corners with the corners all day. And to be truthful, the wide receivers from Michigan didn't show you anything anyway. Make Michigan one-dimensional. Easy. That's it. As far as Texas defense, make Michigan one-dimensional. Because I don't think Michigan can beat Texas throwing the ball. I don't. And with Michigan, I already think Texas is going to be one-dimensional. Like I said, even if Texas had their starting running back, I don't think that they would be able to run the ball against Michigan anyway. Not a lot of teams this year will be able to do that. I think this front 4 is better than last year's front 4. Matter of fact, the front 4 that Michigan has starting this year, that was the front 4 that was on the field on Alabama's last possession. Josiah Stewart, Moore, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, those were the 4 that stopped Jalen Milroe on the 4th down play. Those guys are back, they're starting, and they're dominating. So Texas, I believe, will be one-dimensional. I don't even think that they can run it enough to have Michigan even respect the running game. I don't. So what you're going to have is throwing it back on the shoulders of Quinn. Quinn, when you stand in that pocket, can you feel that pressure? Can you make the right reads? Can you make the right calls? Can you place that ball where you need to place it under duress? Because you will be under duress. Now, they've played in big games. Went to Alabama, they played. They also played in the college football playoff last year. So the crowd atmosphere from the big house ain't going to be anything new. But I think this will be the best front seven that Quinn Ewers is going to face while he's in college. I think all seven are going pro. When I say seven, I mean the front four that I gave you: Ernest Hausman, Jay Barnum, the two linebackers, and then you got Will Johnson in the secondary that I believe is going pro. We all know that. So I think this will be the best defense. And then he's got a real NFL defensive coordinator, respected defensive coordinator, going to be calling the plays against him. So this is important. And I know everything is, everything right now is team oriented, but I guarantee you, Quinn knows that this is a big opportunity to show the NFL scouts that he can handle an NFL defense. And of course, they're college players right now, but these guys will be playing on Sunday. And when Michigan has the ball, Michigan, you have to run the ball. You have to run the ball. If you don't run the ball, this can get ugly. Even if your defense will keep you in the game. But it can get ugly because your defense is going to get tired. Last year, even though I think this front is better than last year, the depth that Michigan had last year was crazy. Crazy. They have depth this year, but they don't have that depth. So that's what's got to happen. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I think Michigan secondary can hold up with the Texas wide receivers. I keep hearing, everybody talking about the speed guys. Michigan's fast too. They're fast too. Remember, and it seems like people are so quick to forget, this is not the best offense that Michigan has faced in this run that they've had. It's not even close to the best offense. As a matter of fact, Washington's offense last year was better than this one. And how many of Ohio State's teams that Michigan has faced when C.J. Stroud was the quarterback and Travion Henderson and the wide receivers that they had, Marvin Harrison and Ibuka, who's still there, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigma. Guys, Michigan knows how to play against this kind of offense. They've been doing it since 2021. It's nothing new. I think Texas fans has forgotten that, and a lot of these college analysts have forgotten it too. So, Donovan Edwards, you gonna show up? One thing I did want to mention, I think some of the play calling is hurting Donovan. I really do. You can only run Donovan Edwards inside the tackles so many times. And what I'm about to say, I think Donovan is a very good back. But I think some of Donovan's problems, it's due to his vision. I don't think he hits the holes he's supposed to lots of times. It's more if he just runs vertically. It's like that horizontal, that jump cut he should have as a running back. He doesn't have the jump cut. So since you have a back who either needs to run vertically or maybe needs to run like Le'Veon Bell and take his time till a hole develops to where he can get there, to where he can see it, you need to run Donovan outside the tackles. You need to run Donovan around the edges You need to put Donovan in the slot. You need to use Donovan to where he's a threat. He is not a threat. When you're giving him the football and you're having him run inside the tackles constantly, that's okay for Khalil Mullins. He's a big boy. That's his style of running. But Donovan, you got to make him electric. And just, would you run Reggie Bush? And I'm not saying Donovan Edwards is Reggie Bush. I'm not. He's not. But somebody who's explosive like that, you can't just run them just inside the tackles all day. Michigan, you got to get creative with him. You have to, especially tomorrow, 12 noon, Big House, Texas. They coming. Michigan, they coming to your house. What you gonna do? That win streak that you got at the Big House, what you gonna do about that? I can't wait to see it. It's gonna be a great game. If Michigan can run the ball, if Texas can throw the ball, we get the best of both worlds. It just comes down to coaching there. It's going to be a great game. Can't wait to see it. All right, that'll be it for tonight. Once again, I thank you for joining, man. I thank you. I really do. Once again, this is the Ox Sports Podcast. You know, if you like what you heard, if you like what you saw, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification button, and look for content that I will give right after games. I'm thinking about not just doing college football, but I'm looking at NFL also. But right now, I'm concentrating on the college football and the big games. So tomorrow we got that game, and I may talk on the Nebraska-Colorado game, even though it doesn't hold the same weight as the Michigan-Texas game. That's a big game. Anytime Coach Prime is on prime time, it's a big game, and I know a lot of people, they're not rooting for Colorado. Raiola, the freshman starter for Nebraska, had a great game last week. But Shedeur, that boy Shedeur, that boy can throw that pill. He can throw that pill. If he had time in that pocket, man, Shedeur Sanders is a problem. He's a problem. But we're going to see. If he gets time to throw the ball against Nebraska, they will win the game. But unfortunately, it looked like he was running a lot last week. There wasn't too many times I saw that he stood in that pocket and had time to throw the ball. He was getting hit throwing touchdown passes to Joe Horn, to Travis Hunter. He was standing in that pocket, taking that hit, but dotting that pill. Shedeur is a problem. But once again, I thank you for joining me. You guys have a great night. God bless.